Can I get you something?
Oh, I'm sure it's lovely, but I avoid meat.
I got oil the fish hasn't touched. You want fried bread with herbs?
That sounds marvelous. Thank you. The fortress of Weishaupt was a bastion against the Blight for hundreds of years. Now, simply gone. So, young Lord Parvis joined the Shadow Dragons. What a small world we live in.
You know Dorian?
To Winter Mage's visit, young Parvis was sent over for a term by his father. Tremendous potential, but appallingly flippant towards the dead. And most other things. I hope it comforted Nev to see the dragon that ravaged Minrathous brought low. You could be forgiven for assuming it was a normal market day.
I meant to pick up more spices. Another time.
How many crow houses are there, Lucanus?
A few dozen. Only 5, I'd recommend.
You've all such a fierce reputation out... About that subject from before. You've all such a fierce reputation outside Antiva.
Doing a job is different from doing it well. My grandmother knew what that took.
You really do keep all your corpses. That's trouble waiting to happen.
Navarra is dedicated to preserving the deceased. I suppose the displays of the Grand Necropolis seem a bit exotic to you all.
Exotic is not how I would describe your dead body collection.
Emmerich, did you know Spite thought you were still in the ossuary?
That private sphere of conception was inviolate.
So no?
Could Spite have described your dream prison until you faced it together?
You're kidding. I barely understood. Is this why we stopped sleepwalking? Spite understands space now?
Slowly, but it will come.
So, your worst enemy, you're going to keep her around, in the lighthouse.
She's strongly warded. It'd be disastrous if we loosed Johanna's spirit by destroying her remains. I know what she's done, what she's capable of, but...
Losing her would have been worse.
Yes, perhaps you're right. I wonder if we've looked... No.
Sorry, Professor?
Oh, it's the necropolis. We've apparently lost a chamber there.
I'm sorry. Lost it to where?
We don't know. It's simply gone. The necropolis never leaves gaps in its new configurations. Something's amiss. I took a look at the archive spirit you recovered.
What do you think of it, Professor?
It's a work of art.
Really?
Concatenating so much knowledge into a stable vibration folded into the Fade? Magnificent!
I just wish I could get at that knowledge.
Give yourself time, Bellara.
So, how does it work? Being half undead, I mean. Which half of Hezenkos is undead? That feels important?
I wasn't being quite so literal. The line between life and undeath can be porous.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
What were you imagining?
Well, one leg's alive, other's undead, so you kind of just go in circles.
This monster, the Gloom Howler, have you ever seen its like?
Never. No warden I've talked to has either. It's definitely blighted, but not darkspawn. Smart. Something special. Normally I'd relish a hunt like this, but now...
You'll find Asan's siblings, I'm certain.
So am I.
So you haven't seen it?
I could hardly miss your griffin leaving some half-chewed stick in my room.
Yeah, the son loves dragging it in here when you're not around.
He what? You really needn't fear all this, Davrin.
It's not fear. It's just not any world I understand.
And yet, the Fade has such a powerful influence on the world you do know.
Now that part does scare me. I try not to think about it too much.
Hezencos. I've seen the type. Dangerous and damn slippery about it.
You're right. She held such promise. I only wish... but wishing for the alternative, you'd find that naive.
Can't say it changes things. Can't change that you were friends once, either. And for that, I'm sorry.
I... thank you, Nev.
So, Hezencos, weight off your conscience.
A great relief. That plan of hers to scourge Navarra.
A real charmer.
I'm sure you'll find a way to rout Aelia.
Yeah, that's the job. But we know how those go.
Johanna,
Valkaran?
until we find a suitable method of penance in the necropolis,
Puh.
you're to be confined under the eye of a watcher, lest you slip your bonds.
How magnanimous of you to volunteer.
A challenge for us both. Was this your ultimate goal? All that death and destruction in order to rule the capital?
It would have been magnificent. Navarra, bowing to a leader who'd make use of its greatest works.
Your enormous bone construct would have destroyed half of Navarra City.
Well, there would have to have been some rebuilding before progress could begin. It's a simple test.
I am not loosening any of the wards around you simply to see whether you can learn new spells again.
Do you have any idea how frustrating that was, Valkaran? To be completely frozen in my spellcraft? And I could have fixed it by channeling through the skeletal construct that you destroyed. Speaking of which, what have you done with it?
That subject remains closed, Johanna. I can't demand your repentance, Johanna, but perhaps reflection beckons.
Reflection? On trying to fix the great failure of Navarra? The finest necromancers in the world, and what do we teach them? To loiter down in the necropolis. Navarra could be an empire. We could raise armies of corpses to slay our enemies and conquer new shores!
You'd make us another Tevinter.
Nonsense. I'm sure we'd do better. So you succeeded in Lichdom.
I have.
And you don't even have the decency to gloat.
This existence of ours is a gift. By the friendship we once had, I ask you to cherish it rather than let resentment dwell within you.
Let me try on your crown.
Absolutely not. You've been quiet on your collaboration with the Venatori.
They were only useful for information or the occasional artifact. The rest of the time, the intolerable wretches kept going on about their wine cellars and summer houses.
They sound akin to some of Navarra's nobility, to be honest.
Depressing, isn't it? So, Valkaran, you've achieved the impossible.
Lichdom?
I meant you somehow seduce that impudent whelp following you around.
That's not... My relationship with Rook is a private concern.
Why she enjoys your mouldering presence is beyond me.
Mouldering? You're a mere 2 years younger than I am, Johanna. 2!
Well, I think one of us wears it more obviously. You? You! You must be so pleased with yourself.
What the...
Hezenkos?
Of course it's me! Reduced to explaining myself to Emmerich Valkaren's companions.
How are you alive?
A lich isn't so easily destroyed.
Even a failed lich?
A meaningless phrase. Anyhow, if you must know, the Morn Watchers found me. Only my skull was intact in the rubble you left of my grand creation. Morn Watchers continue to forbid so-called immoral necromancy. As if anything within our grasp should be forbidden. The petty alarmists intend to use my abilities for some sort of penitence. Valkaren will be by with a sheaf of lectures, I'm sure.
I'm surprised Emmerich's talking to you after you killed Manfred.
I didn't force that ridiculous sack of bones to get in my way. Who knows what he saw in that shambling thing? Besides, a lich can easily craft a new manservant. You there!
You don't actually know my name, do you?
Have you seen my hand? I could find it if I weren't smothered under all these wards. The thing must be wandering around somewhere. Come back to annoy me?
Yeah, if you want.
No.
Ever thought of becoming a hat person?
You insolent brat! I still can't believe Valkaren snagged himself a paramour. At his age.
Hey, leave him alone.
Astounding. You're actually fond of him. Well then, don't let me keep you from that decrepit popinjay. Go bother some other necromancer.
Emmerich, if you liked someone, what would you do? To show them you like them, I mean.
Strangely enough, I might have found myself in that situation recently.
You mean you and Rook?
You noticed?
Emmerich, everyone noticed.
Well, it began when we spent some time together in the Memorial Gardens.
Don't, you know, spirits hang around there?
Oh, a few, certainly.
So you're a skull now?
I refuse to explain my condition yet again to one of Valkaren's roommates.
I have my own room. Hey, is a skull still called a corpse when you're just a skull? Okay, I'll ask Emmerich.
What a waste. What happened with Hezenkos, I mean.
She could have turned her considerable intellect to the good of Navarra, and now...
No, I mean the giant bone skeleton. That big thing she wanted to become. You go to all that trouble and you make it look like that? I'd give it wings, or more arms, or something.
You put a lot of thought into this, I see.
No, I mean, I never do it. Probably.
The skull on your shelf is yelling.
Johanna must have been fearfully loud if you heard her in the hall.
Oh, no, I was in your room.
Tosh!
I thought it meant something bad, like a corpse coming to life. Is it still called a corpse when it's just the skull? Hezenkos wouldn't give me an answer.
First, no. Second, I thought the undead disturbed you.
It's not as scary if it's just a skull.
You have a question about negative topological functions?
Yes, please. Emmerich said it was okay to ask about this.
Do you always listen to that milksop? Well, at least you've come to a proper necromancer. First, I assume you've learned to cascade your spell weaves around wave inversions?
Oh, really? But wouldn't the explosive radius... I'd never try it.
That's cowardice speaking. Cast it aside!
Why are you so angry at Emmerich?
Because the bleeding heart keeps interfering with my work.
Your crappy magic killed people.
If you find me objectionable, do what Valkyrie never could. Destroy my remains and end it all.
Emmerich said that would let your spirit escape. Are you trying to escape?
Of course I'm trying to... No.
The magic emanating from Elganon's archdemon was unspeakable. Its mere presence strains the Fade. I fear what Elganon will attempt with his old pet at his side.